Hey, what's going on, guys? It's King Andy here, and today I'm going to talk about how to do well in Clan Wars and what the basic strategies you should be using when you're building your war deck. I'm in Tag's clan and we currently have 24,594 trophies, and the reason as to why we have so many trophies is not just because everyone is good, but we work together as a team to come up with the best war decks possible and discuss on which cards should and shouldn't be used. I think most players just make their war decks based off their ladder decks. While they may feel comfortable using cards that they use on ladder, it's not necessarily a good idea to do this in Clan Wars. There are better strategies out there, and that's what I'll discuss in today's video. So I'll put replays in the background and I'll talk. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is Collection Day game modes. For 1v1, there are Classic decks, Draft, and Heist. Personally, I love Classic decks, especially with the new decks they just recently added. I think it's really easy to play and master all of the decks in that game mode, and it is a good way to practice each archetype, which will help you out a lot in War Day. The second game mode is Draft, which is also another one of my favorites. Everyone has played Draft at this point, so there's not really much to say. Just draft cards that work well together, draft a win condition, etc. The last game mode switches every month, but at the time of this recording, the third game mode is Heist. I'm not really a big fan of Heist, just because it's still new to me and I don't know what the best deck to use for it. I also advise staying away from Collection Day game modes that aren't tournament standard, because the game generally matches you up with someone who is maxed and it's just really hard to win. For me, I usually play Classic decks, Draft, and 2v2. Also because the other game modes will, I don't have maxed cards, so it'll just match me up with people who are maxed. If you look at my battle log, you can see that I played Draft, Classic decks, 2v2 touchdown with the clan mate. That was just a ladder 2v2 match, and these battles were for my crown chest. So as far as 2v2 goes, if you see that someone in your clan is kind of struggling to win their 1v1 Collection Day battles, hit them up and ask them if they're interested in playing 2v2 with you. It'll give them a higher chance of winning, which will give you more clan cards, which is extremely important. Even if you've done all your Collection Day battles, you can still play 2v2 in War. You could also try and coach them up. For example, let's say they are struggling in Classic decks. You could do a few friendly battles using the exact decks that there are in the Classic decks mode and practice each matchup. The next thing that I want to talk about is War Day, which is the most important part of Clan Wars. It's one match using all the cards that you've collected on Collection Day. When you build your war decks, there are three important things that you should keep in mind: win conditions, card levels, and synergies. You need to look at all of your win conditions and see if there are any support cards that do well with that win condition. For example, if you see Goblin Barrel with a few swarm cards, you might want to run a bait deck. If you see a battle ram and a bandit, you might want to run a bridge spam deck. You also have to pay very close attention to your card levels. If something is underleveled, I suggest not using it. There are some cards that you can get away with using underleveled, such as Tornado, Tombstone, Skeleton Army, or Inferno Tower. But try to stick with level 12 cards, if your clan is in Legendary League, that is. Some of the cards that you especially don't want to use when underleveled are the three wizards, Musketeer, Minions, Goblin Barrel, and Goblin Gang. Also, keep an eye out for overleveled cards. If there's an overleveled card, try to incorporate that into your deck. Overleveled cards give you a huge advantage in war. For example, having overleveled goblins will require 3 shots from your opponent's princess tower to kill it, and having an overleveled zap will 1-shot stab goblins. Now let's talk about how to build a war deck generally. You ideally want to have 1 or 2 win conditions, no more, no less. When I say 2 win conditions, I don't mean like using Miner Hog or Golem Battle Ram. I mean win conditions that support other win conditions, such as Miner Balloon, Lava Loon, Lava Miner, Giant Miner, as well as Giant Graveyard. I also like to carry 2 spells with me, 1 big spell and 1 small spell. A big spell could be Rocket, Lightning, or Fireball and Poison, and a small spell could be Zap, Log, Barb Barrel, Arrows, and Snowball. After you have your win conditions and your spells, use support cards that work well with your win condition. So for example, if you have a Golem deck with Lightning and Log, use support cards that work well with the Golem, like Mega Minion, Baby Dragon, Lumberjack, Prince, Night Witch, etc. If you have cards that don't usually go in Golem decks, such as a Musketeer, Inferno Dragon, or Executioner, they could also be used. Now let's take a look at my current card collection and try to build a deck out of it. So this is a deck that I've made when we had like 20 cards, but now that we have 40, I will look at all the cards. So for the max cards, we seem to have Mortar, Skeletons, let's see what else, Flying Machine, which I unfortunately can't use, Royal Ghost, and Graveyard, which I also can't use. But I can use Mortar and Skeletons. So I will actually replace my bats with skeletons because they're really good for extra damage against tanks, as well as dealing with the graveyard since they're over leveled. Again, notice that I have the mortar as my win condition, rocking a log as my direct damage spells, tornado for defense, knight as a tank as well as support, along with my mega minion, ice spirit, and skeletons to cycle back to my mortar, which is the purpose of the deck. Now very solid deck in my opinion, especially with overleveled mortar. Now let's say I did have everything maxed. Do I still use all the cards, all the max cards? I'd say yes, because overleveled cards basically give a 10% damage buff to both 10% buff to both the health and damage that the card, which is huge. So let's say I did have a maxed account and I could use all the cards available. I'll put all the cards in my deck. So I would have mortar, skeletons, royal ghost, graveyard, and flying machine. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, royal ghost, graveyard, skeletons, flying machine, and mortar. And I'll just build a deck around those 5 cards. One card that I won't be using are underleveled cards, which in this case is the Ice Wizard, because he's underleveled, which will die to Fireball. So it's not a good idea for me to use him. So I hope I covered everything, and if you guys still have any questions, please ask me in the comment section below. War is pretty fun and easy if you communicate with your clan and build war decks with each other. I mean, as you can see, our clan's been doing pretty well. We have a lot of trophies, and we get pretty much first place every war, pretty much. So I hope this guide was helpful and that you enjoyed watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more guides, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace out.